China's President Xi Jinping has met with Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman in Riyadh on a, quote, pioneering trip to open a new era of China's relations with the Arab world.
Well, China's president is visiting Saudi Arabia this week for high-level meetings with the Crown Prince and 14 Arab heads of state. Xi's visit comes as relations with the Biden administration are now strained.
The world began to wobble the very moment Beijing struck at Washington's energy arteries. What seemed like a routine diplomatic visit by the Chinese leader to Saudi Arabia, a standard meeting with Middle Eastern partners, was, in fact, hiding a much more powerful impulse, a global-scale energy shift. China made a sharp turn, pushing the United States out of the game on one of the most profitable markets, the liquefied natural gas, LNG, market. Why is this so important? Because this isn't just about money. It's geopolitics, it's control, it's influence. By signing a 5-year contract with the United Arab Emirates for millions of tons of LNG annually, China effectively pulled the plug from the American socket. But let's start from the beginning. Washington and Beijing have long been locked in a trade war. First came tariffs, then restrictions on technologies, and now it's about energy resources. The United States had hoped to offset the damage from the trade conflict by supplying LNG to China, a rapidly growing market in need of energy, due to strict environmental policies and industrial expansion. But Chinese customs reports now tell a different story. Imports of American LNG have virtually disappeared. Instead, there is a long-term partnership with the United Arab Emirates and their state-owned company, ADNOC. This isn't just a contract, it's a strategic manifesto. We no longer depend on the United States, the Chinese market seems to declare. And this is where the real intrigue begins. Why the Emirates specifically? The answer is simple. Favorable logistical positioning, developed infrastructure, no tariffs, and no political conflict. While American companies are bogged down in tariff wars and unpredictable politics, Beijing signs deals with those who offer stability. Moreover, according to media reports, shipments may reach 4 million tons of LNG per year, a massive volume that knocks American terminals out of the rotation. What's also interesting is how this will be executed. Transporting LNG is no small feat. It requires specialized ships, terminals, and logistics chains, and China appears to be fully prepared to invest in this direction. Rumors suggest that, as part of the Belt and Road Initiative, joint projects with the UAE are already planned for building new terminals and maritime routes. Now, let's ask ourselves a provocative question. Is China creating an economic bloc independent of the United States? This very move, establishing energy ties with the Middle East while bypassing the Atlantic, strengthens such a hypothesis. Moreover, the Chinese are not limiting themselves to the UAE. They are actively collaborating with Qatar, Russia, Australia, anyone willing to provide resources without political strings attached. And what about the United States? Energy giants are in a panic. Lobbying attacks on Congress are already underway, with accusations flying about billions of dollars in losses. And while the White House officially states that we are not concerned, behind closed doors there is a real battle for market access. American energy companies have spent billions building LNG infrastructure. Terminals in Texas and Louisiana are now operating below full capacity. Losing the Chinese market is not just a financial loss, it is a strategic failure. But there is another key player in this story, the European Union. It is watching with concern as LNG flows shift. If China is taking up available volumes from the Emirates, where will Europe buy gas next winter? Especially considering the instability on the Eastern European front and the sanctions against Russia. Add to this the rising gas prices. The market is already reacting to the news of the China-UAE deal. According to Bloomberg forecasts, LNG prices could rise by 12 to 17% in the coming months. The reason is simple. Diverting supply from one major consumer to another always destabilizes the market. While analysts debate whether this is a temporary measure or a long-term strategy, the reality is clear. The United States has been pushed out of the fastest-growing segment of the Asian energy market. And most dangerously, they can't do anything about it right now. This is not just a deal. This is a new balance of power. And if anyone thinks the trade war will be limited to tariffs on steel and cars, they are gravely mistaken. The energy trump card is now in play, and Beijing has shown it is ready to play the long game. Now imagine what will happen if Iran joins in, or if OPEC begins to discuss a new pricing policy based on Asian contracts. Then the consequences could affect not only the economy, but also security, since energy supply has always been a matter of strategic importance. Still, one question remains. Has China overplayed its hand? Yes, they achieved a short-term win, strengthened their position in the Middle East, but such moves could lead to the formation of an anti-China energy bloc in the West. The U.S. and its allies might respond with restrictions on the export of equipment, technologies, and financing for energy projects. In other words, we are at the very beginning of a global energy reshuffle. And this game has no winner yet. Share your opinion. Did China win this round of the trade war? Or is it a temporary victory that will be followed by a tougher response from the US and the EU? Do you think this move signals the beginning of a new energy axis in the East? Write in the comments. Your opinion matters.